So Pat, tell us a little bit about the road trip to Florida. What year did this happen in?
Well, it was in 1953. My aunt and uncle were the ones with the car in the family. So any time we really went anywhere beyond the limits of the buses in New Haven, either with my aunt and uncle or with some other family member. And they went to Florida every year with their children for 3 months. And they used to take along, first was my sister and my cousin, because they were the older bunch. But by 1953, I was eligible. And we went to Florida, a cousin of mine with the two cousins that were actually my aunt and uncle's children. And we did drive down. They did that each year. They left the trailer there. They lived in a trailer while in Florida. And they left the trailer there all the time and stored. It was in Hollywood Beach, Florida. And we all piled into the car and went down. I guess at that point it was Route 1, probably, or the beginnings of 95. They had certain spots along the way they used to stop, and they were kind of known in, because of course you had to come back up the same route. So off we went. It was in January 1953. We had to enroll in school down there because we were staying for 3 months. And I guess it's probably the law that we couldn't be out of school for 3 months. So we had to assure everybody up here that we were going to be in school down there. And which was a little different, but anyway, living in a trailer was a little bit different. But the trailer park was right on the beach. So, and on the other side of us, right on the other side of the road, was the inland waterway, which where the boats would come up and down. Hollywood Beach is just north of Miami. And so there was lots of traffic along the inland waterway, because houses had docks right outside their doors. So we'd sit and watch big boats go by, etc. It was a hard experience for me because I'd never been away before. Overnight, even, basically, other than staying with my aunt and uncle and my cousins there. But, so it was kind of hard to go away for 3 months. I had my birthday while I was down there, which was kind of sad for me because I'd never been away on my birthday before. My birthday present was my Easter outfit, because we were there for Easter too. That was another kind of trauma. But it was really a great experience because we did so many things that I would never in my life have done, including an East Coast tour down through the different states. We were all packed into the station wagon, and we had games we would play along the way. You know, we had the usual looking for license plates and alphabetizing things and anything to keep us busy that they used to come up with, so that we wouldn't have to stop every 10 minutes and let somebody out of the car because they were bored. So there were all kinds of different things that I had that were fun because I'd never done them before. So I found all that kind of interesting. Going to school down there was a little bit different, as I say. They had different. They were not as far as we had been. I was in the 5th grade at the time, and they were doing a lot of things I'd done here already. But you know, we all managed to get through it. The things I didn't like about being down there were the land crabs. Walk around through the trailer park, and your foot would go into a hole, and land crabs down there. I never got pinched by a land crab, but I kept waiting for it to happen. And I'm kind of struck now by what's happening down in Florida with the Zika scare and the treatments, because they used to do that all the time in the trailer park. You have to run in, shut down all the windows in the trailer, and cover up anything you didn't want, whatever. And then a little truck would come through, and they were constantly doing that,
Right.
treating for insects and like mosquitoes primarily, I guess. So that reminded me of the whole trip. It was like, oh my God, they used to do that every day,
Yeah.
or so it seemed, when I was there in 1953. So it's not a new problem, it's just a disease, I guess that's the problem now.
Now, what was the reason that, did your parents go, or you just went with your aunt and uncle?
No, my father would have been working, and they, again, were not ones to take vacation.
So you and your sister were sent on the trip?
Well, I went with a cousin of mine.
A cousin.
My sister went 3 years before I did.
Okay.
And she was about 13 at the time, and she and my cousin Betsy went on the train by themselves
Oh.
from Grand Central to Miami.
But you did it
But
it was a
we
special
did it.
treat, and you did it all the way down
Yeah.
in the car.
We were in the car
Yeah.
all the way down and all the way back. Stopping, as I say, at the usual places, and any kinds of road stands that had anything
Yeah.
that looked interesting, we would stop, and the kids would all get out and usually buy some kind of little treasure, which I don't think I have any of anymore. And while we were down there, we went to Barnum's winter quarters, and we went to things like the Seminole villages, the
Oh,
Seminole
yeah.
Indians. And I remember I had a jacket which was all embroidered and beaded, etc., in Seminole designs. I probably bought a little doll that was a Seminole doll too, but I don't know where she ever got to. But I'm pretty sure I would have bought the doll as a souvenir. And we used to, since it was so close to Miami, one of the Saturday night treats was to go into Miami to get fresh juices and things like that and then we'd watch the cars coming in with all the people to the big hotels and getting out at the big hotels in their fancy dress, etc. And we were sitting there slurping our orange juice or whatever
Yeah,
we were having,
yeah.
or fresh fruit, and seeing how the other half lived. But it was really, as I say, it was a fun thing to do, and the only time in my life I had ever traveled, really. I subsequently went with them to New Hampshire by car, too. They would do that. But without having a car in the family,
Yeah.
it was really, we did everything by bus. We did go to the local beaches and stuff like that, but we had to go by bus. And, it just made it less frequent.
Yeah, not as
a place
convenient.
for us to go. And the picture I had that's from
Ooh.
Silver Springs, Florida, which is, again, one of the places, a glass-bottom boat where you could go through and you could
Is
examine.
that you and your cousin?
That's, yeah,
Is
this is my uncle,
Yeah.
my cousin Kathy, my Aunt Rita, Suzanne, me, cousin Tom, and cousin Lou, who was their son.
Oh.
So they took, Tom and I were the outsiders.
Can we borrow this to scan at the
Sure.
museum? Okay. I love the fact that you've got the whole story on the back, that you've kept it in the
I know.
tourism frame. Isn't that cute, Valerie? It's got the boat
It's a true
frame.
souvenir.
Yeah. We'll scan it and I can drop Vel's pictures off next week and your pictures
Okay.
off next
Very
week.
nice. Reminds you of
Jason will scan them at the museum and
yeah.
I'll drop them off here. But yeah, we gotta have this. This is great.
It's, the decor is lovely. The only other thing I brought from my trip was that's most of us. And this is,
Oh, nice. You can see the palm trees in the back. This would be a good one.
yeah, and this is the hotel. We happen to be
Oh,
where
that's
we
the hotel
chose to
you're.
post. But this is a
Oh, look at that.
postcard of,
Oh, we gotta have that too then.
of,
You were watching the hoi polloi, the.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah, look at
yes.
this.
that was right up the road from us. And actually, when we came back from school, we would come down that main drag, we would walk, because the trailer park, believe it or not, was only, you know,
I know.
not that far down from there.
The
And
Hollywood Beach Hotel.
From the beach side, we could walk up, and we used to go for walks up behind the hotel. That, I think, is from my sister's trip in 1950. That's the
You can
postcard
tell
they
that's
sent
the
home.
hotel and then all the
Yeah,
palm
yeah.
trees.
But there,
Wow.
there we all are.
Yeah, I'd love to get those scanned. Those would be terrific.
Okay.
So, what kinds of things, now you're in the car and this is the longest trip you've gone on. So you're looking at billboards. What kind of places did you like to stop at? Hot dog
Oh,
stands? or
anything to do with food.
Anything, yeah.
Well, we had 2 growing boys, so they were always hungry. And if it was sweet, the rest of us would usually join in. You know, something, ice cream or sodas or, yeah, you know, hot dogs and things like that along the way. There were places in Georgia where you could get fresh nuts, you know, the local things that were being grown and sold by the side of the road there.
Yeah, they used to sell things like boiled peanuts and pecan pie. And
Pecans, I remember, especially. Someplace, I'm sure it was Georgia or not, but someplace along the way there.
And then, so you had to actually go to school in your 3 months down there. What was that like? Was that a big school, small school?
It was a public school, one of the Hollywood schools, the one that I guess was closest to us. I was in 5th grade. Tommy was a couple of years older than I was, so he could have been 6th or 7th grade. And Suzanne was behind me a couple of years, so she was probably in 3rd grade or something. But we were all, I remember, we all were at the same school. It was just awkward, you know, coming from a place where you knew everybody, had grown up with everybody, and suddenly spent 3 months in a classroom with people you had no idea about. You know, and you didn't exactly make friends.
You also knew you were going to be leaving then too, so
Yeah.
you weren't putting roots down or anything.
Well, and that's it. There were probably other kids. I know the church we went to was very much the winter crowd. You know, during most of the year, there was a very small congregation, and during the winter, you couldn't get in the doors.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, you know, there were other people doing the same type of thing that my aunt and uncle were doing with their family in terms of just coming in, going, yeah, exactly. You know, only they had children. They couldn't have that nice time down there if they didn't put them in school. And within the trailer park, there were lots of other kids from, you know, school from all over the world, not the world, the country. I don't remember any foreign kids, but they were from other parts of the country. So and I can only imagine what the school system went through, you know, absorbing all of these kids for a few months out of the year from all over the country. They had different educational standards and achievement things and everything. I'm glad I was at the student end and not the teacher end of that one. But and actually listening to Valerie's earlier story, that's the place where I first experienced 2 sets of fountains.
Oh.
2 sets of lavatories, and it threw me totally. I didn't know, couldn't believe it actually. As to, you know, the back of the bus kind of when we got on, they were all there in 1953, and that was the first time I'd seen it.
Did I know probably you couldn't figure out what that was about, or did you ask anybody, or did you ever have anything explained to you that?
Well, I think I asked my aunt and uncle, you know,
Mhm.
because they, you know, no, you can't use that, you can't, you know. But it was like, why? And I think the answer was it's just the way it is here.
Mhm.
You know, I don't think they attempted to explain it any further than that. It's just that
Mhm.
you're in a place where that's the way they do it.
The custom.
And it made no sense to me.
Yeah.
So I guess I just accepted that. That's the way
Well,
it
if
was,
it's great.
you know, yeah, and just obey the signs, kind of, you know, don't
Mhm.
ask questions, just obey the signs.
And then as an adult, you must have thought back on that and thought, wow.
Well, it did, because I mean, at the time, it bothered me. It
Yeah.
really bothered me, and I wanted to make some sense of it, or
Mhm.
try to understand where did that come from, you know, why, what. But, you know, clearly it wasn't something they were going to talk with me about.
Right.
Or try to do anything about. And I didn't know anybody that it was happening to. And, you know, it sort of didn't seem to be a problem, because it's the way it was. It was accepted by everyone. So I guess at the time, I just said, well, I guess that's the way it is here.
Yeah,
you know.
it's funny, sometimes you encounter something like that when you're a child, and then when you're an adult, you think back and you think, why'd they do it that way? Or that's, you know, that's crazy, or what was that about? You know, it's interesting when
Well,
you
and
really go back
as a
and think
person
about
from the
it.
north, I guess I didn't realize how obvious that state.
Yeah.
1953, I thought it was, you know, like we were beyond that, kind of.
Mhm.
And even as an adult, it was like, gee, 1953. You know, I mean, it wasn't the dark ages.
Yeah, I was just
But
gonna say.
you know, I don't know how long it lasted in
Mhm.
Florida, but it was disturbing.
Absolutely.